Moscow's central exchange has been forbidden from using euros and dollars. This is a significant blow to the average Russian, but just what does it mean for Putin's economy? I'm Paul, U.S. Army combat veteran. Let's talk about it. Okay, so this is a really interesting story because due to sanctions that went into effect 2 days ago, the Russian stock market has suspended trades in U.S. dollars and euros. This is as part of a sanctions package directed against Moscow for its Ukraine invasion. Now, this has had the effect of really damaging at least the dollar to ruble exchange rate. But it's not really seeming as dramatic as one might think, right? And while the Moscow exchange is considered the default or the main currency exchange hub, you have to also remember that for a lot of Russians, holding their wealth in currencies other than the ruble is seen as just a prudent decision, right? They saw the ruble was extremely unstable for basically most of Russia's history since the fall of the Soviet Union. And so a lot of Russians prefer to hold their wealth in dollars and euros, currencies that they see as more stable and less likely to collapse. Again, if you've ever been through one period of hyperinflation, you basically remain scarred for life. I remember when I lived in Brazil, any Brazilian over 40 often would ask me when they realized I was American if I could pay in dollars, because they wanted to hold U.S. dollars because they remembered the time when inflation was so high that in the course of a year, what used to be the price of a new car could become the price of bread the next year, a loaf of bread. So that's why this is a fairly difficult blow to the average Russian. But we're going to talk in a second about why I think this isn't actually that bad a deal for the Russian economy as a whole. But of course, first, guys, if you are interested in boosting your own personal economy, maybe you want to push a little harder at your job, get in the gym a little more, or just stay focused throughout that midday slump, you want some Strike Gum. Strike Gum is the energy drink alternative, 0 sugar, 90 milligrams of caffeine in every single piece. That's as much as a Red Bull, as much as an Amp Energy. I had 100 milligrams of alpha GPC for further cognitive clarity. You can pick some up at strikegum.com. That's where you can find, you can use your veteran discounts or your first-time customer discounts. But you can also get us on Amazon. We're on Amazon. You can go to Amazon, search for Strike Gum. Thanks to the dozens of people who've left us 5-star reviews, that really helps tell the Amazon customers that we are the real deal. We're made in the USA, not overseas like a lot of competitors. We use high quality ingredients like natural caffeine, not any of the weird lab encapsulated stuff. And when you chew it, you know the difference. So the more that you guys get out there and get the word out about Strike Gum in those reviews, the better off it is for those Amazon customers. So thank you guys. Now, here's why I'm a little skeptical that this is going to have a really significant effect on the Russian economy. Now, CNN, as they point out, CNN Business, points out that many Russians do hold savings in dollars or euro, mindful of periodic crises in recent decades when the rubles crashed in value. The central bank, though, the Russian central bank, has said funds are secure. And that's because the Russian central bank is taking over for the Moscow exchange. They're saying, listen, you are going to have to trade through the Moscow central bank if you want your currency. But the central bank has assured citizens that they're going to keep this price, the exchange rate, relatively stable. And the reason is because the bank can still purchase currencies from other banks, right? One of the largest holders of U.S. currency, foreign currency reserves is what they're officially called, is the Chinese central bank. So Russia can at least purchase enough to meet domestic demand for dollars. And due to the sanctions, demand for dollars, because remember, if you want to buy U.S. goods, you have to pay in U.S. currency. If you want to buy European goods, you have to pay in European currency if you are an importer or exporter. So in order to do that, right, in order to get those sort of think about it. If you wanted to import iPhones from the United States and sell them in Russia, you'd have to take dollars, give them to a retailer in the United States, purchase 10 iPhones, go to Russia, sell them for rubles, and then exchange those rubles for dollars to purchase your next round of iPhones, right? And so the central bank is stepping in, ensuring price stability. And to meet that demand, they're purchasing dollars from likely central banks like China's. But here's the real problem, is that the sanctions have meant that there's no one importing iPhones, or very few people importing. iPhones is my generic example of consumer goods. There's a lot less consumer good importing. And so that means when you look at the actual volume of exchange, the Chinese yuan has actually ousted the dollar to become Moscow Exchange's most traded currency. 53% of all currency traded, of all the global currencies in the Moscow Exchange, were yuan for ruble trades. Dollar trading volume tends to be about $11 million a day, right? While euro ruble trading is around $3 million a day. But yuan ruble trading, daily volumes, 90 million. So for every one time a Muscovite or a Russian citizen needs to exchange, whatever it is, 86 rubles for $1, they do 9 times that transaction. That transaction happens 9 times for the yuan. So right there should tell you that between the Moscow central bank stabilizing prices and the fact that the signification of the U.S. currency, U.S. exchange rate, that is why you're seeing that this is not having that much of an effect. And when you look at the Moscow Exchange stock price, you see exactly what we're talking about. Here is the 1-year view. You could see that actually it's slightly up year over year. Over the 5-year course, right, you could see right here is 2021. You have Moscow's invasion, February 2022. The economy, it looks real bad. Sanctions are hit. And then slowly Moscow makes deals, right? It makes deals with any country that'll do business with it, finds ways around the sanctions, and continues to grow the Moscow economy. Now, you can see that in the last 3 months that this has hit, this exchange rate sanction has hit the economy a little bit, taking it from about a 35 to about a 32, a 10% fall, which is significant, but that is a far cry from a total collapse or a disaster for Putin's economy. So the Russian war economy is unfortunately firmly intact, and this is a little troubling because it's showing that the yuan, which remember, China has been committed for decades to keep the yuan stable in terms of price, and stable and export friendly. And so China spends tremendously to do so, but it also ensures that it makes the yuan a desirable currency for other countries, right? They're banking, the yuan is ultimately backed by the size and stability of the Chinese economy, which is near the US economy in terms of size, and again, governed by a stable government that understands the value of a stable currency. And that's very appealing to Muscovites and other international traders. So anyway, guys, that's all I had. Thank you to the Colonel tier members at combatvetnews.com. If you guys are members, you might notice the site's under construction. Don't worry about it. We're totally revamping the site. We're going to make it way more user-friendly. I know it's been kind of chaotic, but understand that you might see the login screens change a little bit. Again, we're going to try to keep it stable until the new rollout. But I really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for your support. I appreciate it, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.